Hi, this is Sahil Chatwal.
And Shang Jiang.
We're here with a video essay/podcast combo.
We suggest having visuals, but a podcast mode is always available.
Today, we will be discussing linear storytelling, more specifically about two games,
Hollow Knight by Team Cherry
and Outer Wilds by Mobius Digital.
Both are fantastic, but very different indie games that we will compare.
Please understand that this is not a review for these games, just an analysis. But without further ado, let's get started.
Tune into the next episode to see my view on Hollow Knight's lore. Hollow Knight is a game with a very standard method of storytelling. The game's lore is found on tablets across the world. Tablets often contain very small passages that players must decipher, such as this lore tablet, which reads, "No blazing kin, only one light shall shine against the dark, the wyrm becomes a beacon, minds expanded to yield, to devote, eternity in a promise and charge in progeny cursed." This type of lore is usually hard to understand, but contributes to the player's understanding of the in-game world. Lore tablets can be found almost anywhere in the game. The tricky part about finding some of these lore tablets is that they are often hidden in secret areas. Unlike in most games, secret areas in Hollow Knight are usually extremely difficult to locate. You must hit a random wall and hope for it to break in order to find a secret area. Lore can also be distributed to the players in the form of NPCs. Many NPCs talk about the game before it was taken over by the technical villain of the story. Some NPCs will only give information or lore if certain conditions are met. One example is a character who requires you to travel across the entire game without getting hit once. These types of quests are often very tedious, but the lore is plentiful once the quest is completed. Another way to get lore is to defeat bosses. Each boss fight generally takes 3 to 5 minutes to complete, but can extend to as long as 2 hours. Bosses themselves are part of lore, and when beating them, they will tell you how they fit in with the massive world of Hollow Knight. Lore can also be found in the form of environments presented to the players. For example, in a place called the City of Tears, there is a massive statue that shows 3 entities surrounding another huge entity. This statue does not have any lore written directly on it, but provides a very hard-to-notice hint for the players that is required to complete the game. When completing the game, you must do some very specific steps in order to gain access to the true ending. This cannot be done unless you know exactly what you are supposed to do. Instructions for how to get the true ending are pieced through lore. The accomplishment that a player feels when deciphering all lore in Hollow Knight is great. It almost makes the player want to stare up at the night sky in the City of Tears. Tune into the next episode to see Sahil's view on the Outer Wilds lore.
Outer Wilds is a game that is centered in self-exploration. It follows an alien on their way to get to space, talking to townsfolk, meeting up with friends, looking for launch codes, and getting taught to tutorial and non-tutorial-like ways. After doing all of this, the player insert alien retrieves the launch codes and launches up, ready to discover the universe. After exploring another planet for a little bit, the strange music starts to start. The player should be confused, as this music seems it's ramping up to something. After roughly 22 minutes of in-game time, the sun explodes. Now this is where the storytelling of Outer Wilds starts. You wake up back where you started, 22 minutes ago, but you know the launch codes from last time. After launching back up, you discover the many planets of Outer Wilds. The Sun Station, the Hourglass Twins, a set of 2 planets that shift sand from one another using gravity. Timber Hearth, the planet you live on. Brittle Hollow, a planet being broken apart by time and meteors. Giant Steep, a giant planet of mostly water. And Dark Bramble, nothing there, but something interesting in the middle. All of these planets are affected by gravity, and are all floating around the sun. They also have their own gravity, such as the Hourglass Twins that slowly fill up the caves of the Ember Twin, and open up the Ash Twins. Now that's the gameplay, but what we are here to talk about is the storytelling. Without giving spoilers, there is no story, yet there is. There's no story directly in your face. You go to a planet, explore everything you can there, find all the story and logs, and go to the next one, go on and on and on. You go back to the original planet with clues from another planet, use those clues to go to the next and next. You discover everything yourself, with small ways the game pushes you to your right direction. The only linear form of the story is in the beginning. The next 20 hours are all for your own exploration. There's also one aid to help you piece together everything, called a rumor mode, on the computer on your ship. To find something, you read through all the descriptions you've logged and follow it. This game has an end. The end is discovering everything you need to know to find the ending. If you read all the logs you find, when getting to the end game, you realize the way to win yourself. It's not a replayable game, but it sure is an experience that you can only have once. And after all hard work discovering the story, you can just sit down, by a fire, and enjoy the sound of the universe.
Hollow Knight and Outer Wilds are very different games.
They have many differences. Outer Wilds' method of distributing lore to the player is more unique than Hollow Knight's classic side method. In addition, Outer Wilds' lore is absolutely essential.
While Hollow Knight's lore is required to get the true ending, but nothing more. The two forms of lore, essential and non-essential, both clash in different styles.
You know Outer Wilds for its story, because you figure it out for yourself. In Hollow Knight, you remember it as a Metroidvania, which isn't a bad thing, but you don't remember it as a story-driven experience.
These two different games each have unique gameplay loops to get immersed within the overall world of both games, and are not expensive for indie developers due to the lack of voice acting costs.
I hope you learned something about storytelling in this video essay. Thanks for watching, and support the indie devs who make these incredible games.